Alright, let's take a look at the Kraken Part 1 because this is a big stat block here. We have the Kraken as a gargantuan monster with 18 natural AC, and as I mentioned, it's gargantuan with 27 D20 hit dice, a constitution score of 25, and we don't care about wisdom or charisma, and it should be a 23. Moving down into the skills area, we see that we have 5 saves. So our Kraken is going to get a +4 effective AC bonus from its saving throws. Next, we also have damage immunities of lightning, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. We also have condition immunities, senses, and languages. We don't care about the rest of that. So let's get down into the monster traits and take a look to see what we have here. And already scanning through, I see all of these are going to be no effect. Amphibious. The Kraken can breathe air and water. Cool. No effect. Freedom of movement. Can, ignore difficult terrain and all that other stuff. Great. No effect from this either. Siege monster. Sucks for boats and also for the CR. No effect from the siege monster. And we can get right into the actions of the Kraken here. So our Kraken, right off the bat, has a +17 to hit. And then we'll shift over to the workspace section here and start with its bite. So here we have 23 piercing damage, and then it also will grapple large or smaller creatures grappled by the Kraken. That creature is swallowed and the grapple ends. So this is an immediate swallow. While swallowed, the creature is blinded, restrained, it has total cover against attacks and other effects outside the Kraken, and it takes 42 acid damage at the start of each of the Kraken's turns. Alright, so we're going to come over here and we're going to put in 42 points of damage for our first target because it can bite. And so right off the bat on the first attack, with its bite, we can do swallow damage to a player for 42 points of damage. After that, we also have tentacles, because we don't care about the rest of the information on the Kraken. So tentacles will end up being 20.5 points of damage. And we're going to add in constrict for the grapple of the tentacle. Potentially, if we can grapple more targets, we should add in more effective AC, because this is only for one thing that you can constrict at a time. So at the moment, we're getting one thing grappled. After that, let's see here. We also have fling. One large or smaller object held by the creature grappled by the Kraken is thrown up to 60 feet in a random direction. Alright, so let's just say that our Kraken can throw something 60 feet and it hits it. So at most, the fling will do 66 damage. So, yeah, that will be 3.5 times 6, totaling out for about 21 points of damage from the fling. And it also has lightning storm. The Kraken magically creates 3 bolts of lightning, each of which can strike a target the Kraken can see within 120 feet. We're still only going to expect 2 full targets to hit because it's technically an AoE spell, hitting multiple targets, unless otherwise it's a little low. So for the time being, lightning storm will be targeting only 2 targets of the 3. Alright, so for the time being, Lightning Storm is just going to be doing 22 damage times 2 players for a total of 44. Let's move on to legendary actions, and we'll see that we have a tentacle attack or fling. The tentacle attacks actually do more damage. No, actually fling does. It doesn't really matter. It's about the same, 20 or 21, doesn't matter. We'll just say 3 flings with the Kraken. And we're looking at tentacle attacks or fling. Well, that's going to be, let's just say for the heck of it, we'll repeat the multi-attack, just to give us more or less an average out of the 20.5 and the 21. Next, we also have Lightning Storm, so it can do that instead, using 2 points there, and then possibly a fling or a tentacle. I'll just use the tentacle for the time being, even though it's a half a point difference. And then Ink Cloud would be, let's see here, cost 3 actions. The Kraken expels an ink cloud in a 60-foot radius. The cloud spreads around corners, yada yada yada. And then does poison damage. Alright, cool. So that's a DC check, and we're looking at 16.5 times up to 2 players. Not great, but if the players are in the ocean trying to fight the Kraken as well, we could potentially use that, but it is a severe waste of its legendary actions. As we can see here, it's almost half as much. So now that we have that worked out for its legendary actions and the regular actions, let's see what we can do for its full 3 rounds of combat. And we can't do the swallow just yet because we need to grab something first. So round 1 would be a multi-attack of 62 because it does the most amount of damage. After that, with the next one that would be the most would be doing a lightning storm and then also doing a fling or another tentacle attack. Alright, now we have something to think about for round 2. The problem being is that if the Kraken bites something, it's using up all of its multi-attacks to bite. And the bite is dealing 23.5 points of damage, as well as 42 points of swallow damage coming from the next 2 rounds of combat, because that's how the swallow works. So we're looking at 42 plus 23, which would be 65 points of damage. So we'll go ahead and say round 2 will be that. We'll get the we're going to get the swallow damage as well, and now another player is permanently restrained for at least potentially 2 rounds of combat. On top of that, we'll do the same thing of lightning strikes as well as another tentacle or fling attack, and we're looking at 88 points of damage here. So if we just repeat round 2, because the Kraken should in theory have more things grappled in its tentacles and swallow something, we're going to now up the damage of the Kraken here from 42 to 84 points of damage for 2 targets being swallowed for 2 rounds each. And what are we looking at here with everything done and said? We're actually looking at a CR 24. It's a little bit underrated, and honestly I thought it was going to be overrated as well. But I think a lot of this has to do with ignoring Ink Cloud, dealing lightning damage as much as possible, causing as much chaos, grabbing, hopefully the dice work out in the DM's favor, and they can grab onto a player, grapple them, because I believe the tentacles, do they have to do a check? Yes, they just immediately grapples, and then on the next turn they can bite and swallow someone. So we're looking at CR 24, so it's technically underrated.